Welcome to Small Biz Flash, your briefing on small business news, trends, and insights. I'm your host, Adam Hewitt. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're talking about a topic that's neglected by many small businesses, corporate-owned life insurance, also known as key man or key person insurance. Statistically speaking, there's a good chance that your business needs this coverage but doesn't have it. We'll discuss that in detail right after the news roundup. All right, let's dive in. Two prominent monthly surveys of small business owners were recently released for March, and they both indicate owners expect a recession. Let's start with the National Federation of Independent Businesses report. The March Small Business Optimism Index decreased 0.8 points to 90.1, marking the 15th consecutive month it was below the 49-year average of 98. The net percent of owners who expected real sales to be higher deteriorated 6 points from February to a net negative 15%. NFIB's chief economist Bill Dunkelberg explained that, quote, small business owners are cynical about future economic conditions. Hiring plans fell to their lowest level since May 2020, but strong consumer spending has kept Main Street alive and supported strong labor demand, end quote. Turning to the second report, the Wall Street Journal Vistage CEO survey, the CEO Confidence Index fell from 85.0 last month to 79.8 in March, reaching its lowest level since last November. Respondents were much more likely to view the economic glass as half empty than half full. Just 11% of small businesses judged that the economy had improved in the past year, while 55% reported that the economy had continued to weaken. Net investment intentions were at the lowest level since June 2020. Small businesses reported rising interest rates as the primary cause, with 47% saying they had a negative impact on their businesses last month. Fallout from the recent bank failures continues, now making some small business owners fearful that as credit slows, their existing lines of credit could be canceled. According to Molly Day of the National Small Business Association, smaller companies are, quote, justifiably concerned about the security of their finances, particularly following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. They've been through it all before, credit lines being called in early, loans being reduced. It was a nightmare then, and it would be a nightmare again today. But unlike large businesses that can absorb financial fluctuations, small businesses are often seen as risky and have little recourse, end quote. The timing is awful because a majority of small business owners, 62%, say that rising prices have forced them to seek out additional capital or financing for their businesses in the past year, according to the first quarter 2023 MetLife and U.S. Chamber of Commerce Small Business Index report. OpenAI's ChatGPT can be a valuable tool for your small business, as I discussed on 2 episodes back in March. But you have to know how to write prompts to get the full value out of the AI interface. Now, GoDaddy has released a library of ready-made prompts for small businesses to use with either ChatGPT or with Google's Bard AI tool. Each prompt, which is a description of the request you want the generative AI to accomplish for you, is specifically designed to help small businesses get helpful results. For a link to this resource, as well as more information on the other stories in the News Roundup, go to the links in the show notes. Small business owners, your finances are the cornerstone of your business. You need the bookkeeping pros at SBS Accounting and Advisors to keep your AP, AR, and financial statements on track. For 16 years, the good folks at SBS have been helping owners like you make better decisions and grow their profits. So go to sbsaccountants.com today to set up a free 30-minute consultation. Use the promo code FLASH to get 20% off your setup fee. Again, that's sbsaccountants.com. So today we're going to be talking about corporate-owned life insurance, also known as key man or key woman or key person life insurance. And we have with us Jack Smith from American Insurance Group in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they specialize in small business insurance. So Jack, welcome to the podcast.
Adam, thanks for having me. Yeah, we are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We work with small business owners and folks with their personal insurance like home and auto, but we service a lot of different types of clients, restaurants, construction, veterinary practices. So we really just love working with folks that value real and good insurance, not just simply having a policy. But yeah, let's talk about some key person insurance.
So, Jack, we were talking about there is a survey that was done, and I think this is actually a fairly old survey, but I believe that the stats still hold true. This was back probably in maybe about 8 years ago or so, but they did the National Insurance Association, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners did a survey of small businesses. And about 71% of those firms surveyed said they were very dependent on one or two individuals for the success of their companies, but yet only about 22% of the respondents said they had key man or key person life insurance in place. And again, it also is called corporate-owned life insurance. So that's not shocking. In my experience, that tends to be the case, that a lot of small businesses don't have this kind of coverage, but yet if someone dies, maybe the owner or co-founder or whatever, then they're going to be in real trouble. And so we want to talk about this today and just kind of explain to folks listening out there what this coverage is and how it works just a little bit. So let's start with just the types of coverage that are available, because I know you sort of have some thoughts about the best kind of coverage. So can you explain that sort of in a nutshell to everyone?
Yeah. So before we break down the key person or key man life, everybody wants to debate the whole term life versus whole life, or sometimes whole life is even called permanent life, right? I won't go down the rabbit hole. Dave Ramsey has a very firm stance on, buy term, invest the rest. I'm not here to really voice that, but necessarily. But what I would say is, for the sake of a business-owned life insurance policy where the business owns it and benefits from it in the event of someone's untimely passing, the term life is just going to be so much cheaper, right? Because at the end of the day,
Sure.
This is an expense. And I think that's why you see those statistics where a lot more people need it, but not that many have it, because, until someone passes away and until the business is turned upside down, it really just seems like an expense on your line item that you have to pay for and you really get no reward for. So, but the whole life policy, while it would be nice, it's an investment tool most of the times. And so that's not really what we're trying to achieve here. We're really just trying to protect our business in the event that someone does pass away. And so term is going to be the much more affordable way of doing so. With that key man life insurance, it's a business owned policy. So the business is the owner and they are the payer of the policy to make sure that it stays in good standing, and they're insuring that key person. And if they are to pass away, then the business is receiving that death benefit that they signed up for to keep the business running. So is that a good enough description of key man, Adam, or kind of expand upon that more?
Yeah, no, I think that works, and that helps us out. So now, this is really important because a lot of times with small businesses, you have partnerships and things like that. There may be 2 or 3 key folks involved. So talk to us just a little bit about how buy-sell agreements work with this kind of product.
Yeah, so a lot of times folks will call in and they'll say, hey, we need key man insurance. Well, when we start to ask more questions, what they actually need is buy-sell life insurance. And so that structure is going to be, for example, let's say there are just 2 partners in the business. Let's say it's you and me, Adam. So let's say that, I pass away, heaven forbid this happen, but I pass away and we're 50-50 in a business. Well, now all of a sudden my 50% is going to my spouse that's remaining. Likely you or whoever it is, you don't want to necessarily work with that person's spouse. And so then you're all of a sudden at a stalemate to, even run the business. And so a lot of times what will happen is these businesses with multiple owners involved, they will buy-sell life insurance. And it has to be spelled out in a buy-sell agreement, which is typically a part of a business's operating agreement, as to how how it would be paid out. So a lot of times, let's say that buy-sell agreement will say, hey, it'll be at 2x revenue. If someone were to pass away this year, you'll need to buy out that person at 2x multiple of the 2022 revenue or whatever it is. So at that point, that buy-sell agreement is triggered, and the buy-sell life insurance payment comes in, and then you buy out the spouse so that you then have 100% of the company. Very simplified example, but a lot of times the business won't have enough cash on hand or the ability to go and get a substantial loan to pay out that new partner or whomever it is. Maybe it just went to the general estate. That can get really tricky too. And I'm not an attorney, but I won't speak to that too much. But yeah, when you have that buy-sell life insurance in place, it can make that continuation of the business so much easier, just like with key person insurance in the event that a key employee does pass away.
Yeah, and to your point, there's, in that kind of situation, you do have to have all these different factors kind of flowing in the same direction. So you need to consult attorneys, as well as, your insurance professional, and make sure that everything is working together correctly. Because if you don't, it can be a real mess, right? And especially when someone dies,
That's right.
You don't want to have to be dealing with all of this on top of having, the fact that you have your operations are probably going to take a hit. You're going to have, the grief of losing someone, and then, so you got to get all this squared away before something tragic happens like that. All right, we're going to stop the interview there for the sake of time, and on next week's show, we'll pick back up with the second half of this interview. Thanks for listening to Small Biz Flash. I'm your host, Adam Hewitt. If you enjoy the show, please tell someone about the podcast, and a comment on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube would be great as well. I sure do appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.